Chad, good to have you back on here, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just saw just a few days ago that you had collaborated with it's Red Post Equipment. Is that right?
Yes, I believe that's their official name. Yeah.
Yeah. To make a pedal, to make a signature pedal.
Yeah.
How
hmm
did that come about?
Well, I have a pedal that I've used. Actually, I'm just gonna take one of these out. Sorry, it's just so funny to talk.
You're gonna
It
cool
sounds like
guy it, and I
I
like
just
it.
have like a yeah. I'm gonna have one. I'm gonna have one.
That's the
Um,
coolest way to do it, I think. I see all the
yeah,
cool people doing that nowadays.
it feels better. So yeah, I have a pedal that I've used for I don't even know how long. I found it on tour. I don't like forever ago. I'm trying to think of the year actually. Pinpoint. I don't know. It was the beginning of Meatbodies. I found this pedal. It was a Ross pedal in a music store in Oregon. And then it kind of just became my like sound. I started using it like on everything, like uh a lot of the recordings, some of the recordings, not like not every single thing. I know a lot of people started writing me once I like posted the red post thing. They were like, is it this song, like does it sound like this? And I was like, I just didn't say anything because like I don't really want to like go into, no, it's not that, like it's these 10 other pedals combined into one, but
And
like for
we will be getting into all of that on the Patreon. So please join us there. We're
yeah.
going to go through each
Yeah,
DM.
we'll go through it. I'll start listening to all my demos and I'll pinpoint what pedal.
I'm
Um,
really looking forward to that. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
but yeah, no, the this pedal, the Ross pedal, I mean, I have it. I can probably just we'll do this.
We got to do the plug
Um,
anyway, so this is good to do it now. Get it out of the way.
yeah, see here. It's this. This is my pedal right here. This is the
Hmm.
Ross distortion. It's the back. There's no back on it. It's like pretty beat up. There's like tape on it, all this crap.
So
Um,
it's like maybe like slightly used.
it's
VG.
it's slightly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty mint. I would say mint. Yeah.
Slightly used. Just I don't have the
Yeah.
box to
It's
put
good.
it in.
I've had it. I've had the knob replaced. I've had like a light put in. It's been used.
Yeah.
So, and also this, like my jacks always like get crinkly and
Mhm.
I don't know. So I opened it up one day and I was looking at it and I was like, like I was just looking at this and I was like, I think you could recreate this. So I just posted it online. I just posted a picture of my back like this. And I said, hey, do I know any pedal makers or like anybody? Because basically I just wanted to rehouse it. Like or I wanted someone to like replicate it because this thing always breaks on me, and I can't find, it's one of one. I can't find anything else. The reason why it's one on one is because it's like I actually looked it up and this op amp right here, um, it's like it's not usual for this era or something like that. I don't know. They used like a couple different op amps. I think it was just that same thing with any vintage gear back in the day. They were just kind of like, here, I don't know, like just mass market, put whatever. But this has this particular op amp. I think if you like, I had some friends kind of like look it up, and like if you look into it, there is like a few couple years that it was like they kept putting this op amp in, but it's just a rare find. That's what I'm getting at. Is it's a rare find. So I, I just consider this like my fuzz kind of sound. Like this is like a lot of the sound that I get, and I just wanted it recreated. So in case this breaks or I lose it or something, and just have it documented. So I put that online. Just, hey, do I know any pedal makers? Any whatever? And these guys, the Red Post guys, they wrote back pretty quick, and they were like, "Yeah, we have." Um, we can recreate that, not a problem. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, like, yeah, let me know. Just kind of like not thinking anything of it, just like, okay, whatever, like either it happens or it doesn't. But then pretty quickly it was like they started writing me back being like, okay, we have these designs and we have this, and is it this like they sent me the schematics, is it this particular year? And I was like, yeah, that's it, because I was like looking up, and we were like going back and forth about it. And then like, yeah, then then they, right before I got to Europe, because I was going on tour in Europe, they hit me up again, and they were like, okay, this is a couple ideas that we have for like the look of it. What do you want the name to be? And it was like super official, like with all, like they had like the Meatbodies logo on it and all this stuff. And I was like, man, this is like getting really serious. Like, okay. And so I was like, I don't know. Like, and I'm not really, because I was thinking in my head, like some guy was going to make me like a blank box, and or a woman, excuse me, um, was going to make me like a blank box that, that they just threw this in there and they did it. And then, yeah, you're good, man. There you go. I wasn't expecting there to be like a name and like a logo and all this stuff. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm not really like a fan of uh like pedal names. Like I didn't know, like I wasn't gonna call it like the Walruses Tusk or something. Like I don't know. Like I don't. There's all these pedals. They have like I don't know. It's like wolf's paw or something. And it's like, okay, it's always animals for some reason.
It is a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of the time, I
or a
that now that you
color.
mentioned that, yeah,
Blue whale. Uh, so,
orange elk,
yeah,
something
orange
like that.
elk,
Yeah,
elk, revenge, or I don't know. So I didn't want that crap, and
Elk's
this
Revenge
was
actually not out of all the ones that we
I'm
said
doing
so
a
far.
podcast.
Hey, no, it's fine. No, come on in. We're talking about the pedal. We gotta plug it.
We're getting a car. She's getting a car.
Good. And
She's
it's
been
a
this is
fine
my
car, right?
fiance. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been this whole thing, whatever, but I don't
Can,
know.
can
I
you
don't,
bring
well,
her
I'm
back
gonna
in,
find
because
out
we do
later.
we have a car like segment on this thing, sponsored by Kia. I hope that that's the car that she ends
No,
up
no, no, no,
getting.
no. We're not doing Kias. No, 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 no.
We're gonna have to bleep it out. It's fine. Back to the
uh
Kia.
Back to my little tiny pedal. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, I called it. I just said, like, randomly. I was like, "Why don't you just call it Chad's Distortion?" Because I thought that was funny. Because it sounded like, that brand Dad's Root Beer or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
I just wanted something really boring. Like it's not. I don't want the walrus's tusk or the whale's tail. I
Orange
don't.
elk. Yeah.
The orange elk. Yeah, I didn't want any of that. I just wanted something really boring. Chad's Distortion. I mean, it's the Ross Distortion, so Chad's Distortion. Um, and yeah, then I met the dudes in Switzerland, and they brought it to me, and it was like, man, these guys, they got so much going on. They have like a farm. They make liquor. They have a studio. They recreate pedals. Like, dude, the list is crazy. And they have like this whole team. This guy is the representative. These guys are amazing. I'm like, I'm just blown away. I'm like, how do you guys have this whole operation going on? But yeah, they brought it to me, and then I just used it for a whole tour. And I mean, I haven't compared them yet. Um, but yeah, it's a cool pedal. I think it's there's like slightly some modifications, but and maybe like we're kind of talking about right now about doing like a version 2 where there's like even more modifications. And I don't know. I feel like I just feel accomplished, because I'm finally my dream is to have my own brand of stuff, but it should. I wish it just all sucked. This pedal doesn't suck, but I wish it all sucked, because there are like Billy Gibbons has like a bunch of brand deals, and all his stuff sucks. And it's awesome just because he like holds his he has like pictures of him holding his thing. He's like, get the Billy Gibbons, blah blah blah, and you try it out and it's terrible. And I kind of want to get more into that territory. Like that would be really cool. Just to, like everything I has my name, Mike, Chad's tape delay, and it's terrible. It's just absolutely okay. That and end of that joke. Anyways,
No, I liked it. Yeah, that's so awesome that they were able to help you out with that. It's amazing. But has the distortion sound just in a grander sense, is it always kind of just really have you always gravitated towards that sound?
yeah, I definitely have used fuzzes. This is the a good discussion. This question is because in a lot of guys or girls or theys and thems, they hit me up and there's like this discussion about like fuzzes, like what fuzzes do you use? And like I think that that mindset has kind of been um spearheaded with um the it's a kind of a modern thought process of like a lot of garage music. They hear a distorted sound and they're like, oh yeah, that's fuzz. And then there's like companies like Death by Audio and stuff like that that they've kind of changed a generation of sound with things like the fuzz war. And I mean, the first time I ever heard the fuzz war, I was blown away. I was like, wow, that what is that? Because like I grew up using like big muffs, and big muffs, they run into a problem where they're very quiet, and I know people like Jay Mascis, he has like a workaround where he's like, yeah, just set your big muff to be the loudest point. Like you turn your amp up to be like that's how loud the big muff is, But then it's like, you know, uh starting to tour more professionally, I think I started finding like more of a comfortability of how I like to use pedals, and the big muff just never really was like it was never loud enough. And so when I saw the Fuzz War, it was like the Fuzz War was so loud and it blew me away. And it changed a whole generation's perspective of like distorted sound, and in my opinion, because before that it was just like I said, the big muff, and then now it's kind of turned into like the Fuzz War, and like or and then people are venturing out looking for other fuzzes and like what kind of fuzz, I think that's where that discussion comes from of like what kind of fuzz do you use, and especially talking about certain tones I have. And I fully admit that, yeah, like in the studio I do use a lot of fuzzes, um because in the studio it's easier to contain volume, but like live I kind of like through this pedal, I think, well, no, because before this, all I had was like a distortion plus. I mean, I guess I have been distortion pilled for like ever. Like my first pedal, well, yeah. Now that I think about it, because like my first pedal was a distortion plus by MXR, and then like when I really started touring, I like had no money to get a distortion plus, and like I think I for Christmas like asked my mom. I was like, "Hey, can you buy me a distortion plus?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I actually saw her like at the Guitar Center like one day, and she was like, "I'm just here. I'm not doing anything." And
As moms
then
are, of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
always.
I opened it up that like at Christmas, and it was a Boss Super Distortion. And I was like, oh, that's not really what I wanted. Like I wanted a Distortion Plus, and she was like, yes, but the guy told me these are better. I'm like, okay. And then I like modified that, like I like did something in it, um, and that was like my touring distortion for like the first half of the first like beginnings of Meatbodies was like my pedal was that just a super distortion. Or it was like an overdrive two or something. I don't know. It must have been. I think it was an overdrive two. I don't know. It does super overdrive. The super overdrive. The Boss super overdrive. So and I like circuit bent it or something to have like more distortion. I can't. I don't know. It's somewhere around here. It's like in a case. Um, but yeah, and then I found this thing, and then that's kind of when my like brain started changing, and I was like, I don't think I'm into like fuzzes. I think I'm more into distortions because they're a little bit more cleaner, and don't they don't squish your compress your tone down like as much. And I was like playing like really clean amps, just like extremely loud clean amps, and so I would go from like nothing at all, like no gain at all, to like this, and then this was just like blasting out. It was like this ultimate volume jump, and I don't know, I just kind of got used to that, and I was like, I want that, I want that sound. That's the sound I want, like from nothing to absolute like destruction. Like it's my speakers are going to blow up. And then I mean, over the years, it's that process. It's either two things. It's either the sound guys are overwhelmed and they're like, please turn down, or it's like the fans are like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And and yeah, I think that's where I've kind of just been like, I'm distortion guy, like let's go there. And so when those discussions of like fans being like fuzz for like, what do you mean you don't use a fuzz? Like what fuzz do you use? I'm like, yeah, I just use distortions, and like that's why there's more of a clean, there's room for it to be big, where I think as fuzzes are better for like studios and like live, they don't really, I mean, not saying people don't know how to use fuzzes live, because I see people use fuzzes, like I have bandmates that use fuzzes, um and but I don't know how they do it. Honestly, I just like, it's not the way my fingers work and my feet and my how my brain works with sound. I don't know. I've never been able to like fully been like, yes, a fuzz. Yes, it's always ends up going back to distortion.
Is it a notable shift when you go from playing with a distortion pedal like that, for instance, and then just not using any pedals or picking up an acoustic guitar? Is your playing style just noticeably different?
Um, I would say so, yeah. But I think it's like, um I think at the root of every guitar player, there's a kid who likes the blues, or there's like a kid who, I think it's that. I think honestly, I think that's kind of like the beginnings of most guitar players, is just like blues and simple blues progressions and chords and stuff like that. And so, you know, like I feel like if you listen to some like different bands demos, like if you listen to the Cure's demos, or if you listen to I was listening to demos, another demo recently. What was it? It was like, fuck, I can't remember.
If
It's like if
Chad,
you
if it comes to you later on, please feel free to
yeah.
just put it
Oh
in.
man, it was so good. I wonder if I saved it. Man, I don't know. But if you go down to like most musicians like demos, it's like they do start getting a little more bluesy version, even if it's like, even it's like this mass production, there's somewhere a blues like acoustic version, simple rock and roll version. And I think that's kind of how like most songs start. um even if it's like the most like fuzzed out, you know, riff and song, I think a lot of times they just kind of end up, they start in one place and it's like kind of an acoustic, uh, bluesy kind of thing, you know? Like, I think that's, I think, yeah, there's a difference, but I think you could probably give me your like, you could probably name one of my like fuzziest songs or something, and I would be like, yeah, it kind of just started out this little like acoustic jam, and
Right.
it transcended into like, you know, doing in the studio, and then you're like, well, what if we just do this, you know, and you just like kick on the kick on the distortion, and you're like, yeah, that's, there you go, that's that's, but I mean, I've also like, I've I've recently wanted to like, um I've recently been wanting to like make like themed records. Like I'm gonna make like a stoner metal album. I'm just gonna make one, you know, like let's just do it. So I don't know how that process is gonna go. Like it might be something like that where it's like there's no acoustics like at all. Like the you need the amp, you need the distortion or something.
I'm looking forward to that album, Jen. I think it's gonna be a good one. Do you pivot away from how you approach playing the guitar when you pick up the bass, or are you approaching both of these instruments from the same mindset?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. No. Yeah, when I play the bass, it's very separated, and like it's kind of awesome to like delegate times of like, um okay, now it's bass time, you know, and like I get in these modes too, like where it's like, okay, yeah, now it's time for guitar, and like I think either of those, like I kind of go, I think in my mind like bass and guitar are very like separated, and when I go onto those pathways, I go like the far reaches of either side. Um, and like recently, okay, recently I had, I haven't played bass in like forever, and recently I did a Black Sabbath cover band for Halloween,
Yeah,
and
I saw that at the Zebulon, right?
yeah, 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 and so um I wrangled all the different members, and I was like, I want to play bass because like that's just been my like dream. Like I'm like a huge Geezer fan, and like if I was gonna play in Black Sabbath, if I was gonna be a member of Black Sabbath, for sure I would be Geezer. But I mean, or I would like to be Bill Ward. I mean, but I don't know how to play drums. So I was like, I'm gonna be Geezer, and I started getting into the bass again, you know, and it was like playing these riffs and just like watching how he plays. Um, and then I'm just like, then it starts going into that zone. It's like, it's almost the same thing as what I do with guitar, but it's just like in the bass world. It's like, okay, now I want a better bass. Now I want a better bass amp. And then I start like talking to different guys. I start talking to like, you know, like I always somehow collect, like I'm lucky enough to collect like people that are really, really good in their field, you know, and like so I started talking to like bass guy, like the elders. I consult the elders. I find my like my the guy, my guitar tech, my guy who like fixes all my stuff. He's actually like his passion is bass, and he like plays bass, and so I had him like fix up my like shitty bass, and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting like a different bass amp, and we just started talking about that, and he was like for like 2 hours he was just like going off showing me all these amps in his like house, and I was like, okay, cool, and then I'm like looking up online like different cabs, you know, and like start like researching like, you know, bass speakers, and what's like what did Jack Bruce use in Cream, you know, and it starts going like that, you know, like I but that's just kind of, you know, I don't, I think that's just kind of how I operate, with anything. It's like whatever I'm gonna get into, like I get into it. But like as far as like the playing too, it's the same thing. Like I think when I think about bass playing, it's like totally separate. Like the way I hold the bass versus the way I hold guitar, but like how high I hold it, how I'm gonna pluck it, what how I'm gonna play it. It's like it's absolutely 100% different. I'm and then I started going through like old Fuzz stuff, and I was like listening to like Fuzz recordings and like fuck, I should have done that differently. Like I should I should have like added something here, like something a little cooler. Um, but yeah, when it's time for guitar mode, it's like the same thing. It's like then I started going in a completely different route. Of like it's I just like think about it completely differently, and I like them both, but I definitely like them separated. I
Mhm.
I would never approach bass as like um yeah, okay, it's simple. I'm just gonna play what the guitar is playing or something. Like I personally think that bass should be kind of a sub harmony. Like I think there or a sub melody. I think there's the rhythm, and the rhythm definitely constitutes the melody from the vocals. Like or I think it should be like melody, and then the rhythm should be like, they should be like married in a way
Mhm.
of like the melody from the vocals should be considered. I think good drummers do this. Good drummers do consider the melody and the vocals, and the cadencing, um, and then the bass is kind of like a different melody that not really anyone's going to pay attention to, but it is going to set the whole like mood. It's going to like change a completely change a song. If there's really good bass, you notice, but you don't consciously notice. You subconsciously are like, I really like this song. Like take for instance, like Mac DeMarco. Okay, you don't ever think about bass, Mac DeMarco. There, but you hear a Mac DeMarco song, you're like, damn, this song's fucking good. This song's really good. This song, I feel really good. I feel like I'm living in this world. It's awesome. I feel very relaxed. But then if you really like focus in on it, it's like there's this particular bass that's setting the mood of like what this song is all about.
For a lot of his
Um,
songs, yeah, for that matter.
yeah, and I think it's like the same for anything. I think that's just the reality of the rhythm section is like that the rhythm section sets the mood, and you don't think about it, but it does. Drums, I would say drums and bass set the mood, because the drums are going to set like the immediate urgency of like, okay, how am I supposed to feel in this song? And the drums are saying, this is how you're supposed to feel. It's like how fast or slow it's going to be. And then the bass is like the overall mood, and Grateful Dead is another one of those. Grateful Dead is like, if you hear Grateful Dead, the moment you hear Phil Lesh's bass, it's a Grateful Dead song. Like you could hear nothing. You could hear them just jamming a little bit. And if you don't hear that Phil Lesh like like this like loosey happy bass sound, you're like, who's this band? But the moment you hear Phil Lesh start doing these runs, you're like, oh, that's the Grateful Dead. Like it's the Grateful Dead immediately. Um, so yeah, in my opinion, I think the bass should be separate. I think it is the subconscious of the music. It is the um it is setting the mood, and it shouldn't follow what the guitar is doing. The guitar is the conscious. The guitar the guitar is right there, and it's doing whatever it wants, and I think that's what's awesome about guitar. But it is the thing you hear, the thing you notice. It is the conscious. But uh yeah, I think bass is the subconscious. It's like you don't know why you feel this way, but okay. It's yeah, it's a really happy song. I don't really know why, but it is. But if you really focus in on it, it's probably the bass.
Hmm.
I don't- Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's
No,
just
I
how I
mean,
think about it.
you made some good points, Chad. I can't. I mean, well, we'll argue about it on the Patreon, but
Okay.
yeah. Speaking of Fuzz, though, Fuzz has a new record coming out, Fuzz's Fourth Dream, and it's out
Yes, yeah, yeah.
in
It's like a
December.
record of like demos and EPs or it's
Rarity.
like stuff that's been left off of records and then also like demos for it's like rarities and demos.
Yeah. And that's out in December through In the Red Records, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, what was going back to piece that together like? Did you guys sit down as a group and say, let's put these specific ideas and songs in onto this for lack of a better term, kind of compilation record?
Right, right. I actually no. Honestly, it was a surprise to me. I was kind of surprised. I was on the road and then I just got an email from Ty and he was like, "Yeah, here, like I made this." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I listened to it and he was like, "Yeah, what do you think?" And I was like, "I mean, it's great." I mean, like I I I can't there's nothing to say, you know what I mean? It's like I think he had an idea. It was very much spearheaded by Ty and I was actually like relieved that he just spearheaded something. It was awesome because like, you know, it's rare when people just get a complete idea. And sometimes I think it can be this like thought process with a band where like it has to be delegated by the band at all times. The ideas have to be the band's ideas or the or um like a collaborative effort. But I think sometimes some of the best things are just pure inspiration and just letting your people that you're in a band with just go do it. You know what I mean? So I was honestly relieved. Like he hit me up and said, "Hey, I have this thing." And it was awesome that uh he just had nothing holding him back, no like back and forth with the band being like, "Well, I don't like blah blah blah." I mean, there's some things on there that I would have been like, "Oh, I wish I re-recorded that," or something like that. That's when like those little things start coming in. But like, I'm so glad that I didn't have that room to like muck it up. You know what I mean? To be like, "Oh, actually, I don't like the way I play on blah blah." It's like there was none of that. So it's just like automatically like accepting the piece as a whole. You're just like, great, awesome, yeah. Like this is, and I'm a fan of. I'm a big fan. Like we just talked about demos. I'm a big fan of demos and like rarities. I love live records, and I love all those different little things that I can find. I was just cleaning out my garage and I have this like tape collection that was like from me and like old roommates from like over 15 years, and it's just been sitting in my garage for years. And I found it and I was like, "Oh shit." And then I like found this one tape and it says like it's like a boot from Bob Dylan's Rolling Thunder review, 1976 in Fort Worth. And I was like, "Shit, fuck, why do we have this?" It's just a tape. And I was just listening to it in the garage and it's like I love that shit. And so it's hard to argue for me with like a rarities and like live and all that crap, the demos. I love that shit. So listening to the Fuzz one, I was like, yeah. Like, so I was like, do you have any notes? And I'm like, no. Like, what notes do I have? I'm just gonna like make it worse. It's You're done. You're good, man. Just let's, yeah, put it out, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened.
With not just this particular album coming out, but with all albums, is the last time that you listened to the album like when it's like done being mastered for the most part, besides hearing it when you're playing live, obviously?
When you get a master, it's kind of weird. I feel like listening back in general as a whole for like a musician who's made something is weird, no matter what. And as someone who does mastering, I do master, and so I have to like work with different clients and different guys who's like never gotten anything mastered, and I kind of have to like coach sometime to be like, this is how it is, you know what I mean? And like like coaching the weirdness, you know, because
Right.
it is kind of weird. And so when you hear a mastered version of your album, most likely you've listened to it. I mean, I have, because I mix everything that I put out. I've listened to it too many times. Like there's a cap of how many times you can listen to something before you just go blind. You don't even know what you're listening to anymore.
Do you have a vague number on that? What the cap is?
No, I don't. I honestly don't. It's just like you got to recognize it. And I think you have to do that with time and like experience of just fucking up and then learning and recognizing when you hit your limit. Like you have to recognize that. Um
And can you
like
feel it
I
like creeping up on you? Like, oh, we're getting to that
oh
point.
yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah. There's times I'm just like, I don't know what I'm listening to anymore. And I know that I have to walk away for at least a week. I have to like, and I know it sounds long, but
That's pretty
it,
short though, with what we're talking about here.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like if
Should be
I'm
like
mixing
months, right?
something,
Really,
yeah,
really get
yeah,
some breathing
totally.
room on that. Yeah.
If I'm mixing a song and I'm like, I've listened to it so many times and I just am questioning it, is it good? Is it not? And there's times I'm just like, I need to not listen to any of this for a week, you know, because your brain fucks everything up. Your brain fucks the whole music up. And this is what I was saying with like Ty coming in and saying, "What do you think about this?" I mean, Ty just did all that grunt work. He scoured through demos, and Ty has a really good. I will say this as a compliment about Ty. He has a really good um, gauge of when the rabbit hole begins and when it ends. I've seen it. He's coached me when we were young dudes. He'll be like, dude, we can't do that. You know, we're going down the rabbit hole, you know, and I would be like, shit, okay. That was like the first time I started like thinking about holes and like avoiding how to avoid them. It was because of Ty. He probably has a little bit more experience, you know, fucking up and knowing when the hole happens. And I've heard about his holes. I've heard about other producers be like, yeah, I mixed a we mixed this record, and then like he hit me up and told me he wanted to remix the whole thing. This is like when he's like super young, and it's like, yeah, like I think every musician goes through holes. Um so what I'm saying is with the demos is like he just did that's a lot of work going through all those demos and finding what is actually cool and what isn't. And so like I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't I would not want because like and then especially if there's like too many like talking heads in one room saying, well, I like this version of this song from this year. You know, it's like it's that's why I was saying I was so relieved that he just like kind of was like, here, it's done. Because that's like, that's hell going through that crap. You know what I mean? Like, I read I read that, I was reading Shaky, the Neil Young book, Shaky, and like he's in it, he's talking about making the archives, the Neil Young archives, like way, I mean, I don't, when was Shaky written? I don't even know. It was like written forever ago. He was in there being like, they're trying to press him for time. He's like, I will put it out when I'm ready. It's not ready, you know? And it's like it's it's hard listening to something as a musician. Like, I think you do have to have this level of like detachment, just a little bit, with everything. And like, so what I'm getting at is like, even when you listen to your masters, I think you kind of have to listen to them and then walk away. You know, walk away for a few days, listen again. Because like the first time you're gonna hear it, you're gonna go, "This isn't my song. This is they messed the whole thing up." You know what I mean? Like it's terrible. What? It sucks. And and then like because there's all these stages of listening. You know, it's like you're writing it, and then you're demoing it, and then you're mixing and recording. You're recording and mixing, and then you're getting it mastered, and then you got to listen to the test presses, and then you got to listen to it on Spotify, and then you know it's like it's always going to change. It just changes, 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 and like what you thought in your head of like this is what it is not what it's going to be. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the best part. The payoff is not listening for years. Is not listening to anything for years and years and years. And then you can go back, you can find a demo. Damn, that sounded good. You could find uh your mix 20. You're on mix 40. You listen to mix 20. Fuck, I should have put out mix 20. And then you know, or it's always going to change. That's like it's just it doesn't that's what I mean like the best advice that I give people and like the what I would suggest for a lot of people and what I see like successful people is when they have a lot of detachment. When there's a lot of just like, okay, I put it out and it's done. And it's over. You know, and like just accepting that you like you you know, you pushed it out. It's like birthing a baby. The birth is over. You know what I mean? The birth is over, and then it kind of just grows, you know, over time, and it grows into something else. You know, it's like that.
Yeah. Are you surprised? Let's take this this new Fuzz record for instance. Are you surprised like maybe that certain songs that are on that album, looking back when you were recording them, like it seemed like it had legs and it's like, oh, this is going to be something that's going to wind up on the album, and it never does, and it just gets shelved? Are you ever surprised by the amount of times that happens? Like, oh shit, I thought that was something there, and it turns out it wasn't.
I mean, I think when that happens, it's almost exciting. You know, it's like exciting accepting something that you didn't think. It's like almost accepting a new idea. Um, it always happens. It's always um it's a reality for sure. The last Meatbodies record, I think 7 songs or something, like a complete record was left off, you know,
Wow.
like and um like like the previous question or what we were just talking about, like I haven't listened to them and thank God. And I want to give it a couple more years because then I could listen to it again and be like, oh, these rule. Um, you know, or I could be like, oh, they suck, and thank God I didn't put them on. But it always happens. But I think when it does happen, I feel like the feeling is almost like it's exciting, almost as exciting as like your idea that you were even going to make a record. You know what I mean? It's like it feels relieving in a way. Like I rarely do I ever can think of a time where I'm like bummed that something doesn't make something, you know? Um, I think for the like Fuzz 3, like we had, I want to say max like 3 or 4 songs that didn't make it onto the record, and I was surprised the ones that didn't, you know what I mean? But it was this like it's this like feeling, it's like this relieving feeling almost, because like you work at the record so hard and you like record it and like you play it over and over and over again. So when it's like this notion of like looking all at each other and being like, I think we're gonna leave that song off. And it's like, yeah, let's do it. Fuck that shit. And it's yeah, I would say it's kind of for me, it's like this relieving feeling of like it's a very fresh idea, and I think um, fresh ideas are probably the most important thing. Um, if you start getting into this like back and forth, uh, weighing options, and you're just prolonging things. So it feels good to go with a fresh idea, almost no matter what it is. It's like this is a fresh idea, and that's going to be felt by everyone. It's like
Hmm.
people are going to feel the like indecision. So you have to. It's like surfing the wave. You have to like surf the right fresh wave at all times. Like where and take where that takes you. Or go where that takes you.
Hmm. Were you surprised by what Ty pulled out of the vault to put on this? Were you surprised, like, oh wow, I forgot that that one existed, or like I'm surprised that he wanted to take that into consideration for this.
I think everything I was surprised. I like forgot that we even recorded it. And like a lot of the shit I was like, dude, this just sounds so much better than anything we recorded. Like a lot. I mean, but that's me. Like I have that is just how my brain works. I just love demos. I think what it's like that fresh thing. Whatever is the first fresh thing uh is going to be better. In my opinion, I think it's going to be better. Even if there's like mistakes and um it's like recorded wrong, the drums sound like shit, the vocal something sounds like shit. It's like it was just so fresh and alive that in my like you can feel that. For me, I can feel that when I listen back to like demos and shit like that, that I'm like, I just wish it sounded like this. Like I wish if the record had sounded like this, it would have blown up. You know what I mean? That's how I think about that. I mean, it's probably not true, but yeah, I just so everything that I heard, I just forgot. I was just like, oh man, I forgot about this. This fucking rules. This is awesome. And like this should have been out. It was more like that
And
feeling.
now it
Like
is. Now it's coming out. So
yeah, now it's coming out. Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm stoked about it because like I yeah, I think I love I just can't say it enough. I just love that like fresh idea vibe, because like you really beat things into the ground like after a while to where it's like polished and blah 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 blah. Like I said, like other guys' demos, other bands, anytime they have like a special edition with like the demo of the record you just listened to, for me, every time I hear something, I'm like, that's way better than that's so much better than the studio version. Like, wow, wow.
Yeah. Do you try to step away from music or get away from music when you're not working on music? Do you really try to take that time to go, we're done with that for right now. We're doing something else.
I think I do, and it's something that I've been trying to stop doing because I think sometimes it gets like a problem, like especially with like touring. I think when as like musicians, it's funny with musicians because like you, especially in the times that we are in now, um, I think like the thought about even how to make money as a musician, you need to constantly be like making something, and like constantly be putting stuff out. Um, but then like once you make something, I think that's where it everything is most important. What you make and how much you make. Um, in terms of content, or in terms of like songs and art and things. It's like that's like where the musician is most important and what they should focus on is like creating as much as possible. But the catch is every time you create something, then you have to talk to the publisher or sorry, you have to talk to the press agent and your booking agent and your manager, and then you got to make merch geared towards the tour and or merch geared towards the new album that you just made, and then you got to go on tour and you got to do like two or three you got to do like two American tours, two European tours in the year for that fucking album. and then so like and each tour is going to be like a month. They're going to be about like 30 shows, you know. If you're smart, and a lot of guys that are like me and a lot of my friends, like we're getting older and we're and having kids and we don't want to be out a month anymore, so we're going 2 weeks or a week. But mostly if you want to make money, it's going to be like 6 weeks or something. You're going to be gone for 6 weeks. And so then you got to find the dog sitter. You got to find, you got to find the hotels. You got to do all this thing. And so finally, by time you're done with 6 weeks, you get back and you're like, I don't want to fucking think or talk about music for as long as I can. But that is where the problem is because like you got to get on the next thing immediately because you got to do it all over again if you want to live, if you want to make money, if you want to keep the thing going. So I do like it is, yeah, I mean, for sure, like I definitely have a tendency to be like, okay, that was a lot. I'm I'm gonna go get really interested in cars for like as long as I can and never think about music. You know what I mean? Like and I'm working on my truck and I'm talking to car guys and I'm like getting in this car mode, and then like I start noticing like the money starts going down and time is disappearing. Like fuck, I got to do that next record. Like shit. I got to clean my studio. I got to get back in there. So that's what I mean is like I'm trying to stop doing that because it is like I do have a tendency just to be like, well, I'm done with that. That was a lot. I'm out. But yeah, I'm trying. I'm getting better at it.
You did a interview with the great Sometimes magazine recently. It's in
Oh
the
yeah.
the most recent release, and please go and order that magazine. It's fantastic. They're they're fantastic people over there. They put out great stuff. But
Yep.
how do you feel about doing interviews like that and like this, like discussing what you make? How do you feel about that aspect of what you're just talking about with the putting something out and having to do all these things for it, this being one of those things?
I I I hate it. I mean, I think initially like it sounds like a good idea. Um and I'm like, hell yeah. Like I love people and I love like questions and discussions, and I love like um connecting with people and like a lot of time like I try to do like ask me anythings or something on like Instagram, and like I want that connection with like fans and like telling them like this is what I do and trying to like whatever. So in a lot of ways, like doing interviews kind of uh like condenses that, because it's like the hopes that people see that interview and I answer some of the questions that they had. Um, but ultimately, like then I get in the interview and I just like nervously start talking, talking, talking. So like I get too heady about it, and so I think I am still trying to. It's like an art form. Like I like if you watch like a good interview and people have like a really good interview and they're just like they are very charismatic and but they also like condense things and they whatever. It's like that's hard. Like I don't know how they fucking do that. I don't know if I'm particularly good at it because like yeah, I remember like when I was younger when I would start doing like interviews, I was like gung ho, like let's do the interview. I'm so excited. And then I would listen back and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm just like cringing at everything I'm saying. I'm like, why did I say that? Whatever. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the general feeling of interviews is like I initially I'm like, let's do it because I like that connection, but then like I listen back and I just don't even listen back anymore. I think that's the key is it's got to be like music, like just you pushed it out. It is living, it is its own walking, breathing thing, and then you just move on. It's like a mother cat. Your litter runs away and then you just go be a cat.
I think it's that could be used in a lot of different areas of life. I think that.
Yeah.
Um, do you enjoy listening to bands or artists that you like discussing their music on a deeper level? Like that's what that song means or whatever it may be.
Yes. I unfortunately I wish I could do it more than I do, especially like in this day and age. I think it was easier when you were like younger and you like had roommates and like you guys were all stoners and like you just sit around and like talk about music all the time. Um, so now it does get delegated down to like more like touring time, like the band, like you like talk about music, and you like talk about bands. But yes, I do like to listen to bands and I trip out on a lot. I trip out on the year and the impact and the meaning of the song and all that stuff. Um yeah, yes.
That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping that you're gonna finish it with a yeah. Um, does hearing a musician's explanation or insight to a song or an album that you really enjoy change your perception of that song or album?
For sure. Absolutely. I it's really interesting like listening to bands takes on things um or like musicians takes on their own music because it's usually like 100% different than as you as the viewer are like listening to it and like thinking about it. I think like famously Devo had said I don't want to I'm gonna quote it wrong but they're
This is a
I
paraphrasing it. Yeah.
this is paraphrase. I forget their most famous record. Their record with like Whip It and all that.
Yeah.
They they said in an interview or something they were like they said something about it being like their R&B album. They're like that's like our R&B album and like it's like so weird to hear that and like you're thinking about Whip It. But if you like really think about it, you're like yeah, I can see that just like a little
Everything
bit.
boils down to a blues, like you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it does. I like finding all. If I really like a record, I like finding everything, like the backstory of like what they were doing. What was happening in their like personal life. Like I like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is like one of my favorite records, like, and that I know when they were writing that, I mean, okay, every time I've heard Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, I'm always like, this is the most emotional, like jaded uh album, like these songs are all about loss and uh being completely jaded by loss, and like, oh, I don't know. And it's funny because it's like a Black Sabbath record, and like usually they're known for just like dumb little ditties about like rat salad or Iron Man. But that record is just so like um it's just so earnest, and like there's like a particular tone to it, and like all the lyrics are about like loss and just kind of like accepting loss and or something like that. And then like you read about what they were going through, and that was like the time where they were like losing their management. They, they're managing themselves. There's bands coming up that are like bigger than them, or that were like underneath them, and now they're bigger than them, and they don't know what they're doing. They're getting older, and they thought they were like they had lost it all. Fucking feel that like from that album, but it's like, so I do like those backstories with albums because like you can kind of like, especially albums that you love. I mean, there's like, I mean, I think Neil Young has like every album, every album of his has like some fucking crazy backstory, and you're like, damn, dude, that is. So yeah, I mean, we could probably have a whole segment of just going through albums, and I could
We're gonna
tell.
we're gonna do that for a shorter video. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
did you feel like there was not so much a pecking order, because that would be the wrong term to use for that, but like sort of like a yearly class system when you were coming up with Meat Bodies, for instance? Did you feel like, oh, there's like other bands in Los Angeles, for example, that's like, oh yeah, like we're like that class or that year
Mm,
of like with them. Wand, for instance, maybe
mm.
would be an example of somebody who you came up. Do you view it that way? Or do you view it as like, oh, there was like some smaller bands when we were becoming bigger, or vice versa?
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, it was like there was there was like a class system that I think is like almost out the window now. I think it kind of doesn't, like we were just talking. I mean, I keep connecting the last question to the whatever, but what I was saying
That's
about Black
that's just
Sabbath,
called a good flow, Chad. You're
yeah,
you're professional. You've done enough interviews now. You're a professional at them.
professionally failing. Um, uh, yeah, Black Sabbath, like, yeah, they were. You read about that time about between Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Technical Ecstasy, that they were like Queen was this band that was like this small band, and they were like looking up to Black Sabbath, and there was bands like Queen like that were Black Sabbath kind of like paved the way, right? And then uh at a certain year, Queen is the biggest band, and then there's talks of it like while they're making Technical Ecstasy or something, it's like Tony Iommi is like, we got to make a song like Queen, and then Ozzy is like, man, fuck Queen. Like those guys are young, they were like, they wanted to be like us, like we shouldn't have to be like Queen. And I think that's how things feel nowadays for me, like I think when Meat Bodies were first starting off, um well, when Meat Bodies first started, it was literally just me. It was me, and I was like getting off of I was touring in Michael Cronin's band, and I was started out as his bass player, and then I like then I started playing guitar, and then I just like that was like my like years. It was like 4 or 5 years of doing that, and just constantly being on the road. So I just like got this bug of like I want to make a band. You know what I mean? Like I it wasn't even like a competitive like I can make better music. It was more just like
You want
I
to do
just
your
want to
own thing with it.
I don't even know if it was I want to do my own thing. It was just like I just want to keep making music. You know, I just like music. I think at that age, that's just kind of I was like 22, 23 or something. And at that age, you don't really like think about what you're doing or why. It's just kind of like I just want to do it. You know what I mean? And like I think now as a 37-year-old, it's like I have to get back in that frame of mind. Okay, when I was starting Meatbodies, yeah, it was like I was touring with Michael, and I just wanted to continue making music. It wasn't like I wasn't making music. I just was like, yeah, I don't know. I have like my own I just have these ideas, and I like love rock music. Like at that time, like rock music was just so alive, and there was just like all these bands, and I saw this avenue and this like lifestyle that was like you could just live, like it was like a community of bands where it was like we were out, and there was all the Burger Records bands, and there's all the bands from San Francisco, and like no matter where you went, it was just like everyone you saw was in a band, and it was like you all knew each other, and it was like so that was like the hierarchy, or that was like the class that I was sitting in. It was like I I just was like, I'm gonna make something. I don't know. I just was like making stuff on my computer. I was like living at my mom's house. I was like had because I was touring all the time. I just like moved back in with her, and then I would just like that's where I would go back in before I would leave again. And I didn't have like anything. I didn't have like a microphone, or I didn't have. I mean, I think I had. How did I record? It was like some bullshit. It was like I think a lot of it was like I would plug straight into the computer. Like they didn't have like I don't know. They didn't have any of that interface bullshit that they have now. They didn't have like focus rights or anything. It was just like I had no distortions or something. It was like all on the computer. Like I would just distort it and I wasn't even using like Pro Tools. I was using like Sony Vegas, which is like a movie editing software. And that's how I made that first tape. And then um and I think and this was pre-Wand, so I had Corey coming over, and like Corey was doing like harmonies uh with me on like songs, because like we would do that all the time. Like I would always like write songs on my computer, and then I'd just like call Corey and, hey, can you sing on this? He'd come over and sing on something, or like play guitar. And so like yeah, those early Meat Bodies, like that tape, um during that time, it was like the class system was like you had the OCs, and that was like, I mean, that's still kind of how it is now, but it was like the OCs were top of the line, right? That was like, you can't touch them. These guys were like the inventors, And then next to the OCs was like King Khan and the barbecue show, and is these two guys from San Francisco, and it was like these are the creators. Like if you can get on a show with the creators, oh boy. And then And then I started seeing my friend Ty because I knew Ty from high school. Like high school, I had a high school band, and Ty had a high school band, and our bands would play together around town in like early 2000s, you know. So I knew Ty from back then, and I like had met Michael in college, and Michael was like, "Yeah, I'm friends with Ty," and he like said all these like MySpace bands that he was in. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember all those bands." And so he invited me to go see. Um, this is pre Michael touring, Michael Cronin touring. He invited me to go watch Ty at the Smell, and I was like, "Oh man, yeah, I remember Ty." So I went and I saw Ty solo at the Smell, and me and him started talking, and I was like, he was like, "Dude, hey, like I haven't seen you in a while." I was like, "Yeah," and then he was like talking about how he's like up in San Francisco now, and he's playing with the OCs, and John Dwyer is like a fan, you know, and those are the creators, you know. So I was like, "Oh shit, what?" And so then that was kind of like that's what that time was like Ty. It was like the OCs, then it was like Ty underneath a little bit, but he was like creeping up, you know. He was like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it was like bands like then the LA shit. There was like Mika Miko had kind of turned into like Bleach, and uh then it was like um Shannon the Clams, and then I was friends with like from college, the same college with Michael.
Is
Um
it that's Cal Arts, correct?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Um
there's a whole clique going on there of a bunch of people who
there
exploded
was a click.
out of
There was
there.
yeah, there was
Hmm.
that's how that like the Michael Cronin click started with Pangea, or
Hmm.
sorry, Together Pangea. They're Together Pangea now. Them and Michael. And so that was like kind of like my life for a long time. And there were these bands starting to come up. Yeah, oh yeah, and then of course, like you said, Wand. Like later, Wand kind of came out of Meatbodies. Like Corey was in Meatbodies, and it was like he was playing guitar, and then like he started making these songs, and you know, he called me up and he was like, "Hey, I have these songs, and I'm putting together this band, and I think I'm gonna, or no, he like invited me to go see them at the Five Star Bar, and I went and I saw, and I was like, these are fucking good. These are good songs, man." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about calling it Wand," and I was like, "Yeah." Or I think he had like a couple other names, and I was like, "Oh, you should do Wand," like that. I mean, I don't want to be credited as the guy who named Wand
No,
because I'm not.
we'll say it was you. You called it. You crowned
No,
it.
no,
You
no.
said
I definitely
call
wasn't,
that
but I remember
one.
he was like working. One of the names was Wand, and I was like, Wand's a fucking good name. I just remember saying like, yeah, it's a good name. And then like Wand, yeah. So it was like then Wand started coming around the same time as Meat Bodies. But I do remember these bands like, you know, 2017 or yeah, 2017 around that time, 2016, there were these bands that were like I'd hear something about like Frankie and the Witchfingers. I remember hearing like Frankie and the Witchfingers, and you know, not thinking anything of it. And then I took a break in 2017. What we were talking about with I have a problem with like I'm done. Like I do a tour and then I'm like I'm fucking done. So I took like a year break or year and a half or something, and I stopped touring. And then like it was I felt like in 2 years I finally like I got a new booker. I got back out on the scene, And then all of a sudden there was these bands that I had never heard of, and it was like there was this like notion of psychedelic rock that was like meant something completely different. And it was like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest change was King Gizzard. That was the biggest shift, because during my era, when my dynasty of garage rockers, uh, uh, King Gizzard was just kind of this like OC's copycat band. You know, what I mean, not to be, not to be,
Rude or anything, but I mean,
not to be
that
rude,
guy Stu
but
McKenzie did say that they were a large
right,
influence on them early
right,
on.
and uh, and I think we were all kind of, I think we all were ripping off the OCs. To be honest, I think everybody, that's where it stemmed from. But we like really were like trying our hardest to be like, we're not ripping them off. Like we're gonna change it up a little bit and whatever. But you go back and it's just like, I mean, think about, I mean, even Mountain, the most famous Meatbody song of all time. Uh, Mountain, it's a fucking OC's inspired song. You know what I mean? It was like, but that was that scene at that time. It was like, um, that was the fucking sound. I mean, they were like the Beatles, they were the fucking Beatles at that time. Literally. I mean, John Dwyer, I mean, if you think about it, he's like kind of invented his own form of dance music. It's like it's now has a category. It now has a genre, like he just was like, here's these songs. And I just listened back to them. I like was going through I moved and I had to go through all my records, and I was like going through all the records of bands that I knew and I collected, and I was like, I don't need this, or I'm gonna keep this. And I was going through the OC shit, and I was like, dude, this shit is just fucking good. You know what I mean? Like still, it's like amazing. It's like it's just I've never heard anything like it before it or after it. So it's inventive. It's very inventive. So that's what I mean. Like they were like the Beatles, and like think about the Beatles back then. Everybody was kind of like, well, I'm gonna make this, and it kind of sounds like the Beatles, but it's not the Beatles. And I think that's what we all were kind of doing. And we like started off being like, I'm gonna make this song that kind of sounds like the OCs, because it was just so digestible. It was so awesome to hear. We couldn't get the fucking shit out of our heads. These like OCs, do 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 do, like you couldn't get it out of your fucking head. So you started writing. You like, and you're on stage playing that kind of shit. You're on stage. John's coming to your shows, and he's giving you the thumbs up on while you're on stage. Like John gave me the thumbs up. Uh, fucking, you're playing. Not only are you now like loving that kind of music, you're playing that kind of music, and you're on stage, and people are responding to that kind of music. But I think now there are bands that that is the genre, is the OCs. Their name's not tied to it, but it's just like the genre of the OC's music is now psychedelic rock. And that's what I started noticing was when I came back to touring after like 2018, 2019. I started seeing all these bands, and they have all these goofy names. There's this like there's now new labels. There's new booking agencies, and it was so different than what I was used to. You know what I mean? And that was like, and those were the guys that when like me and my bands, or like my friends and like this
Your
that
crew, yeah.
my crew, that dynasty, they were down here, and they were looking at this, and they were like, we got to do this. So we started getting older, and I got a little older and jaded, and I was like, I'm out of here. And then that gave them room to, I mean, everything is a cycle. Like everyone has their times, and And so now that cycle, I'm just noticing cycles. Now that cycle, that crew, there's different crews coming. And I think even that crew, the younger crew that's like come out now, that's kind of going away too, because that's gonna eventually like they're gonna start getting in their 30s, 40s. And you're gonna start seeing, I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing like younger guys start coming up and they're completely different now too. And it's just I think that's just music, like music, there's always you got to stay fresh. There's got to be fresh bands and new crews and younger cats with new ideas, and I think it's great. Um, I think for me personally, like I don't know if I'm going to understand all of it or be into it because I'm coming from a completely different generation, of like style, and it just meant like my psychedelic music meant something different to me than it does now
Hmm.
to people or to kids that are like in their 20s or something, like
Yeah.
or even in their teens, it means something different now.
Hmm.
And so that to answer your question a long fucking way, and I'm so sorry, that's just what I'm noticing. And I think, but that's just the cycle of music. I'm sure every cycle of bands from the 70s were so weirded out by the punks in the late 70s. I'm sure like Led Zeppelin or that famous story of Pink Floyd um, being kind of like a target for like they were huge early
Mm.
70s, Pink
Hmm.
Floyd, fucking huge. And then 76 comes along and people are like the punks start happening and they're like fuck Pink Floyd and everyone kept saying fuck Pink Floyd and like people started disrupting shows and that's ultimately what led to The Wall. Roger Waters was like over these punks saying that and like then he like made The Wall. It's I just think it's just the cycle of music. I'm just it's just I'm in that zone right now where I'm 37, so I'm like getting in my 40s and I'm sure I'm going to see more zones. I'm sure it's trippy for fucking guys like Ozzy or fucking um what's his name from Aerosmith.
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler. I'm sure it's weird for Steven Tyler to look at music. Like right now he's like all about young blood. He's like, yeah, he's saving rock and roll. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like
Or
it's
literal young blood, which is a different thing. Can I
yeah, right.
can I ask you this? Do you feel like Ty specifically was also a kingmaker, also became that, also
Oh, for
became
sure.
on par
Absolutely.
with the OCs and with maybe Mac DeMarco would be up there as well. Like this is an untouchable sort of a
Mm. Oh, for sure.
thing.
I definitely,
So
yeah, there
what
was like
was it like to see a good friend of yours be like, oh, that's a kingmaker now. That's a top tier guy, or however you'd want to phrase it.
I think it's weird. I think it's definitely weird. It's like I mean, honestly, it's especially at that age, like I think it's like, you know, here's this guy that I have very similar like views with, same taste in music. Um, we kind of grew up together in this way, like, and now he's the guy, you know what I mean? And when you're like 25 or something, I think you want to keep, especially if you're also a musician, I think you want to keep this mindset of like, well, I can't accept that because like we're the same. We're the same like level, or we grew up in the same way, or we're like I know him. Like you don't your ego doesn't want to like accept that or something.
Hmm.
But um, I think in retrospect, like looking back, it's like I mean, and that, like I said, like listening to old records, like I put on Thai. I have like a bunch of Thai records, that he like gave me on tour and shit. Or like he'd be like, "Yeah, it's my new record, man." I'd be at his house. He'd like give me one, And I listen to some of those old records. I'm like, I mean, they're fucking good. Like this guy is amazing. This guy is like he it's like very lock tight melodies, very like amazing songwriting at such a young age, like he's writing these like amazing songs at like 23, like that's crazy to think about. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I haven't written, I mean, I don't know how he feels, but it's like me personally, I don't feel like I've written my best song at yet. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm 37, like I feel like I could write my best song at like 60 or something, And but that's just like, I think everyone has their different pathways, but it's crazy to think that like Ty was just one of those guys, one of those famous guys, um, who are just so music mind. I don't even know how to put that. They're it's just it's like a gift. It's so awesome that he was that young and he was like making perfect songs, and I just, so it's a trip because like I think as a musician and befriending famous musicians, I'm friends with John Dwyer now, like we'll text, and um he'll like ask me how I'm doing and shit like that. And I think I've had to learn in my time as a musician is like you have to separate the artist from the art. Um, and so it's like it's trippy to be um, like like that. Like John Dwyer is like texting me, and whereas like at one time in my life, like a younger dude, I was like I'd freak out if I knew that I knew John or something,
And
and
now it's
like
just a regular
it's
occurrence.
just it's a normal thing, but it's just like it's the same thing with Ty. I mean, it's it's different for me. Like it's different for me accepting. I don't know if I'll ever truly be able to accept because I'm so close with him. Like Ty's success and his like his honest greatness. I mean, he's just an amazing artist, and his brain and his work ethic is just so amazing. Um, but it's hard for me to accept because we're like, I mean, he's a year older than me, Like I met him when I was like 17. I
You
was
guys are
17.
contemporaries. Yeah.
I was 17. He was 18, and like we met in like my beginnings, like I was like when I started getting booked in LA, like not just whatever local little things. It was like, yeah, you got booked in LA. It's like, oh shit. And then that's how I met Ty, and like he was coming from Laguna. And it was like, so we met in the same place, and it was just like, fuck, man, like, so I think it's always going to be a little difficult or different for me to be like, like truly be accepting that. But I mean, definitely I mean, dude, yeah, like Ty, he was one of them. He was like a trendsetter for a generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is not a definitive answer on this, but if you're to look at it right now, what is the best DOC song in your opinion?
I can tell you right now. Hold on. This might. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, cool. I like was listening to my playlist, and like I think one day I was like I'm just gonna put my favorite. Or when I was listening to those records, I like I like put a couple OC songs on there. And the other day, me and Cher were in the car, and my playlist was playing, and one of those OC songs was playing, and she was like, "Are you just listening to the OCs?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." But it was kind of like this. I was like, "Fuck yeah," because it's like, um, I think they're just amazing songs. You know what I mean? Like I still to this day, I'm like, Can you see me or still
Yeah,
or
yeah,
no?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're there. I'm just transfixed in your
Oh,
in
okay,
your
okay.
story here.
Yeah, yeah. So the two songs that I was just like, these are you can't fucking beat these songs. These songs started everything, in my opinion. I think the first one came out. I'll do in succession when they came out.
Please.
Enemy Destruct. Um,
Big one.
Enemy Destruct. What album was that on? Hello?
Help.
Help. Sorry. Hello. Hello.
Come on, dude. Get it right.
I don't know these names. And then
No
later
shame.
on, he can't. This is a later, like in my for my generation, like because I remember being, you know, early 20s and playing Enemy Destruct on a record player at a fucking party, and then whatever. Then I started touring. Then I met everybody. Then then it's like, oh yeah, they came out with this new album, and that's what's this album? The one with the guy, the like military guy, the green.
Green military guard. I'm trying to think here.
Oh, Carry On Crawler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
album. I think that album is probably in my opinion, I just think that was the OC's best album. But I'm from a time because they've changed. Like I don't know anything about the OCs of how they are now. Like my experience was that original lineup with Bridget and PD Dammit and Mike Schoen. And every time I saw them, they were playing with what's his name from the Intelligence?
Lars Finberg.
Lars. And Lars was playing. So that was my era. So when they came out with Carry On Crawler, I was like, oh, you can't beat this. It's over. And so my favorite song off that was Robert Barron's.
Yeah, it's a great one. In terms of ties, best. Do you have an answer for that one?
I don't.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't. I I don't think I can because at a certain point, like I had to adopt this mentality for all my friends, which was like I had to stop listening to my friends. And I've told them this. I've told I'll talk about this with Corey, like he'll be like, hey, I put an album out. I'm like, that's fucking cool. And then I'll just tell him like, hey man, like I haven't listened to it yet because it's like a very I have a fear of ripping off accidentally. And it's not I don't want to rip off. And I think it's like the times I accidentally have ripped off has it's like completely it's because of that. It's just because of listening.
Mhm.
And I'll listen to a friend's record and I'll immediately just be like pinpoint these are my favorite songs on it. That oh man, damn you fucking did that. That's amazing. And then that will sit in my subconscious. And then like 3 years later, I'm like playing around and I like playing something and I don't I feel like I recognize it, but I don't know why. You know what I mean? And then later I'll be like, I'll play it for some people and they're like, oh, this sounds like this song. And and then I listen to it, I'm like, fuck, man. Like fuck. Like and
Has the reverse happened to you that you that somebody has brought to your attention that somebody else's song sounds like one of your songs?
yes. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, it sounds like it. But most of the time, it's like people will like I'll have friends that'll send me stuff and they're like, hey, I wrote this song, but I'm afraid it sounds like me and the band says it sounds like you. And then I listen to it and I'm like, no, I don't I don't see it at all. Like I
No,
don't
I don't make
I
shitty music, man. This is not sounding like.
it's exactly what I say.
Yeah, man. I
Um
don't. I don't. I don't produce shit. So you're good on this.
but yeah, no, it's with the Thai thing, I like there's times I do hear stuff um in passing, and I'll be like, is this Ty? And I'll be like, yeah. I'm like, damn, it's fucking good. I mean, that's how it is now. But I mean, back in the day, I was like, so I thought his best work was Goodbye Bread. And when he came out with Sleeper, I was like,
Mm,
I loved that. I I kind of I thought I always felt like Ty's biggest strength back in the day was his like acoustic, almost acoustic type stuff that was like we'd always talk about. We loved like Love, and we loved. I know he was like a big what what is their fucking name? The Pretty Things. He's like a big Pretty Things fan, and I mean I fucking love those records. Or like they're groundhogs and shit like that. And so like we'd always trip out over like these songs that were like quasi acoustic, and then these like electric leads and like all this shit. So when I would hear him like implicate that into his music, I was like, dude, you do that so fucking good. So when he had albums like Sleeper, where it's like a lot of that, a lot of acoustic, and then all of a sudden like electric lead or something, like very T Rexian, I
hmm
was like, dude, that's your sweet spot. Um, but I haven't diligently kept up with like, I mean, he's gone on to make all these fucking albums, and I haven't diligently like kept up. But there's times I'll hear shit and I'm like, damn, that's good. That's fucking good. I mean, and I think it's, like, yeah, I mean, I recently he had a song that my friend made a video to. I think it's called Buildings. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not, and I apologize.
I saw that and I was like, I just like loved that. I was like, man, this is an awesome song. And so I kind of just like doing that in a way. I like doing it from the sidelines because because if I start going in like then I'm gonna pick up something and dude, it's gonna hurt me. That's kind of I think that's why I feel a little bit like passionate when I hear bands that sound so much like other bands. I'm just like I feel like man, what the hell? Like I do so much. I do so much to like not rip off bands. But I mean maybe they are too. Who knows? I don't know.
That's like comedians in that way. It's like I don't want to watch another comedian because I don't want to pick up any cadences or
Their
try to
jokes.
start to tag like them or whatever. So it's kind of along those lines.
And
Uh,
comedians call each other out too, and I think musicians should do
yeah, I
that
should
too.
start doing more of that shit for
Like you
sure.
took my fucking song, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
trying. I'm trying to spark the light right now, right here.
yeah.
Um, how do you feel though being in a not just being in the same circle as Ty, but for a good amount of years now playing with him in Fuzz? I mean, how has that been? Kind of being around him in that capacity, like, hey, we're both working on the same thing here to collectively,
As like opposed to what?
as opposed to just like, oh, hey, man, that's a great song. Not only is it a
Um,
great song, but we both worked on this great song and kind of working together.
I mean, I don't think it's that. It's honestly for me, it's not that different from just like our friendship and like um the way we talk about like I don't know. It's just like my memories of me and Ty, like way back in the day, is like us listening to records in his room and just being like, "Have you heard this song though?" And then like, and I'm like, "Fuck, that's fucking good." And then I'll like find a record. I'm like, "Oh, dude, I love this." Or it's like us on like we've been touring for a while. Like we were in. He played guitar at Michael Cronin for a little bit, and I was playing bass. So we're vetted we've been on the road, like together, and it's like I have a lot of memories of us just like on the road and showing each other music. Like that's a lot of me and Ty's relationship is just like, have you heard this? have you heard this? Have you heard this? You know, and I I mean, that's like means more to me than anything, you know. It's like it's hard to find someone like that. It's hard to find a relationship like that. And so that is like that's just kind of the base level of like how we are as friends. And so working together, it's not too different. In my opinion, it's like this compilation. Ty coming back, hey, I worked on this. I did this thing. What do you think? And I'm like, it's fucking great. You know what I mean? It's awesome. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. And it's like what you know, and it's the same thing like working in Fuzz. It's like you know, we're like we're playing shit and Charles is it's mostly like us looking at Charles like, all right, what do you got? You know, and then Charles is like, okay, this and this and this, and then we'll like jam on something. But it's kind of a mixed bag of a lot of shit. I mean, sometimes like I've even gotten finished stuff like recorded by Charles, you know. It's like sometimes I think people there's everyone has their own different comfortabilities. You're comfortable playing in a band and like seeing what happens. And sometimes you're more comfortable like you need to get a certain ideas out just completely by yourself or like so I've just like I've gotten stuff back that has like that's been recorded by Ty and Charles and they're like, "Hey, we did this. Like, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah." And then I make a bass thing and so I would say it's like it's not too different than already being friends and just like discussing things, you know? And it's like and finding what's cool together. I don't think there's much I it's kind of an egoless band in a way. There's not much like, well, I did this, I did that. You know, I don't really experience that with Fuzz. It's a little bit more just like I feel like we're always finding what's rad together and it's just like if something isn't rad, it's like I don't know, you know. I don't know. I don't really know about that. And then like other things will just be like we'll find it together. Like the thing what we were saying with like let's leave these songs off, and it's like okay, yeah, I agree. Let's just do it, and then we get all the thumbs up, and that's it. So yeah, that's my. I would say it's just like it's not that different. It's
Yeah.
not different from like just being friends and saying what's cool and what isn't.
Well, that's awesome that you guys are friends. You guys are in this group together. And Chad, I really appreciate you coming back and sitting down with me and
Of
chit
course, man.
chatting, dude. But of course, before I let you go, we got some promo to do here.
Okay.
Fuzz's Fourth Dream is out in December. People can pre-order it right now through intheredrecords.com. That's the best place for that.
Hmm.
Um, all of Fuzz's catalog is streaming everywhere, wherever people get their music. That's where they could find it. Along with Meatbodies. Meatbodies music is also streaming everywhere, wherever people
Is
get
that
it.
fair?
And I mean, I've had your crew on this podcast, and they are just insane, crazy people. So please go back and listen to Dylan and Noah's interviews after this. And our first one too, Chad. I think we did a great job on both of these.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And
Awesome.
whoever else we mentioned who has been on previous episodes, please go back and listen to their stuff as well. Um, but people can also visit the Meat Bodies link tree. Like that's the best place to stay up to date with ordering the newest record, which is Flora Ocean, right? That's the newest release.
That's the latest one. Yeah, that's been
Right
out
on.
for like a year, 2 years now. I don't know.
So you're coming back from the garage. You're done with cars. You're coming back, you're making a new one.
The studio is clean, as you can see. So yeah,
Immaculate. Immaculate.
yes, I'm beginning. I just need to get some things fixed. I need to get this guy fixed, and then yeah, the next one's on its way.
Right on. And I would plug the pedal, but it's already sold out. So
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
yeah.
Great.
But yeah, you can keep up to date with kind of following Red Post. I think it's Red Post Equipment on Instagram or something, some variant like that. That I'm
I
assuming
forget.
that they're gonna
I
remake it.
have them tagged on my gram, so yeah.
Yes, and everything that we just discussed, you'll be posting updates to this, and that's the best place people can follow you, which is
Yep.
at yeah Chad yeah on Instagram.
Yes.
To stay up to date with Fuzz and the pedals and meat bodies and tier lists of like greatest songs from different bands and stuff. We're also going to be posting that on the Patreon as well. So
Awesome. Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Chat, did we miss anything?
No, I don't
Um,
know.
Fuzz Fuzz tour coming up in like Slow and in San Diego
Yeah,
and
we're doing like
Los
a
Angeles.
California thing. Yeah.
California thing. So if you're in the area of California, make it to one of those shows. Chad, you're the man. Thank you so much. I'm
Of
gonna stop
course. Of
recording
course.
this. I'll talk to you in a
Okay.
minute. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.